Hello everyone. Hope everybody's doing well on January 30th, 2025. I'm doing well myself. This is episode number 8 of the PS1 Vlog Series, and on this episode I'm just going to talk about why Carl Grimes is my favorite Walking Dead character. Now, as we all know, Carl Grimes, okay, spoiler alerts for those that haven't seen the entire 11 seasons of The Walking Dead. Yeah, spoiler alerts will be coming, so if you haven't watched that yet, be warned, because spoilers will be in this video. So anyway, Carl Grimes is my favorite character on The Walking Dead. Back in season 1 of The Walking Dead, he was just a little kid, but he was among the survivors from Atlanta. They were in that group in Atlanta. They were all in that camp, and they all fled the camp, and they headed to the DC Center, or whatever it was called, in the first season of The Walking Dead. They were all huddled there. They were hiding out there, and then Dr. Jenner, I think his name was, announced the whole place would be blown up. And all of them escaped because they wanted to live longer. But Jackie, realizing that there was no hope in staying alive, decided to just allow herself to be killed at the medical center. And she and Dr. Jenner both perished when it blew up, and everybody else escaped. Rick, Lori, Carl, Dale, T-Dog, Andrea, Daryl, Glenn, Carol, yeah, pretty much like the Atlanta crew, Sophia, they all escaped. In season 2, we saw, Carl, we saw Carl as a little kid trying to adapt to the world. And Shane, of course, betrayed Rick and slept with Lori, so that's not exactly very good impressions, either Lori or Shane. So Shane was killed off at the end of the second season, as you all know, and Lori ended up getting killed off in the third season of The Walking Dead. And Carl, that definitely affected Carl's character development, and he definitely had more rage because of that. He was pissed off with his father in one episode because of his mother and everyone else he loved getting killed. He was definitely upset. Obviously, he didn't mean the things he said. He didn't genuinely mean that, but he was upset about that, about what happened to his family, so I can't blame him for being too upset. I can sympathize with him. I can sympathize and empathize with him, at least on that. Yeah, I can sympathize and empathize with him, at least on that. But anyway, yeah, season 4 of The Walking Dead, Carl ends up getting more development, the governor Herschel gets killed, the governor ends up being killed, Carl gets more pissed off, and seasons 4 and 5, Carl ends up growing as a character. In season 6, we see Carl in his prime, Carl ends up finding a potential love interest, Enid, and they end up getting together. And, they end up getting together. They end up, getting together in season 7 of The Walking Dead. And, Negan ends up killing Glenn and Abraham in season 6, as we all know. And Carl definitely was pissed off about that. He decided to take action by getting the guns and shooting at Negan's henchmen in season 7 of The Walking Dead. And so Negan forces Carl to sing a song for him, which is kind of corny, but makes sense considering the fact that Carl killed his men. So of course he's going to demand for something in return for that. And Carl ends up helping out the group more and more. But then season 7, Negan's about to kill Carl, but then Shiva rescues Carl in season 7, at the end of season 7. And so season 8, Carl ends up talking with Rick and asks him if there is any way that he and Negan can work together peacefully. And so Carl ends up getting bitten, and he ends up dying in season 8, which is very stupid, honestly, very bad decision by the Walking Dead writers. Like, I have no problem with The Walking Dead killing off, certain characters, even beloved and popular main characters, but killing Carl was definitely the biggest mistake The Walking Dead ever made, was killing Carl Grimes off. That was a very dumb decision. There was no point in doing that, and that's one of the reasons why Andrew Lincoln was motivated to leave the show after season 9, because, the fact they killed Carl off, that was a very bad decision on their part. Very bad decision, and they never should have done that, honestly. I disagree heavily with that decision. It was a very bad decision on their part. But, you know, still, Carl's death enabled Rick to spare Negan, because Carl wrote a letter to Negan saying that, you know, that Negan could work together with them, they could work together peacefully, and so Rick spared Negan at the end of season 8, and y'all know, if you watch The Walking Dead from seasons 9 up to season 11, you know exactly what happened after that. Like, I'll always be a fan of The Walking Dead. It'll always be one of my favorite fandoms, but yeah, killing Carl off was definitely the biggest mistake The Walking Dead ever made when killing off characters. Like, I had no problem with them killing off characters like, you know, Shane, Lori, Andrea, Beth, Herschel, Abraham, T-Dog, Dale, you know, the list goes on and on. Even killing off Glenn I wasn't upset about, because at the end of the day, you know, Glenn wasn't my favorite character, and Glenn being killed off was a necessity, I feel like, to the storyline, you know. But killing Carl off was pointless and dumb. There's no point in doing that. And the man whose life Carl ends up saving ends up getting killed anyway in season 10, so really no point or sense in doing that. There was really no point in doing that. It was honestly a senseless decision. There was no point in The Walking Dead doing that. Very bad decision on their part, honestly. No benefits from that whatsoever. But it does tie in the storyline to help Rick spare Negan, and, you know, and Judith ends up taking Carl's role in the comics, you know. Judith ends up becoming the leader that The Walking Dead needs her to be, and she ends up being like what Carl would have been, you know, in the comics, you know, had the show followed the comic storyline of sparing Carl. But yeah, those are just my thoughts of The Walking Dead, you know, and Carl Grimes being my favorite character on The Walking Dead. Very bad decision on their part. Killing Carl off, I disagree with the decision deeply. Very bad decision, but I mean, you can't really do much about that. The Walking Dead is going to do whatever The Walking Dead is going to do. The writers are going to write the show however they want. And there really isn't much you can say or do about that, because it's their show, and they can write it however they please, you know. And besides, this is an apocalypse show where characters are going to get killed off randomly no matter what happens. Anyone could die. And Carl Grimes, as much as I love his character, as popular as his character is, not even he is invulnerable to death. So yeah, those are my thoughts about why Carl Grimes is my favorite character on The Walking Dead. So take care, everybody. Another video from the Dawnville Legend 826 channel. Take care, everybody.